to renal failure in Nevis, and I'm yet to find it.
Be a part of the debate.
What he needs to do is to allow the people to do their work in accordance with the relevant legislation, and he must not overreach. Because when he makes those suggestions, he is, in a sense, misleading the population here.
Speak your mind. Defend your country. Call in. Numbers to call: 869-669-7312. That's 869-669-7312 or 917-460-2187. That's 917-460-2187. On target here on 2020 Vision Radio every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. On target. Be a part of it. On target.
So I'm your host, Kelvin Daly, and I thank you for joining us once again.
Join the conversation.
I looked at it on Facebook and I read the speech, and I'm trying to find out what is the commitment to renal failure in Nevis, and I'm yet to find it.
Be a part of the debate.
What he needs to do is to allow the people to do their work in accordance with the relevant legislation, and he must not overreach. Because when he makes those suggestions, he is, in a sense, misleading the population here.
Speak your mind. Defend your country. Call in. Numbers to call: 869-669-7312. That's 869-669-7312 or 917-460-2187. That's 917-460-2187. On target here on 2020 Vision Radio every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. On target. Be a part of it.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are strictly those of the participants and do not represent those of 2020visionradio.com or its advertisers.
Let us put our hands together for Pupa Wheeler!
Impulso, Toro Zombie and Peter. Take it away. keep dropping. Nobody don't shout no more like they used to shout before. Boy, disgruntled fans, they crumbling about promise songs, fail on delivering. Start song and can't finish it. It's standard English, singing stupidness, nonsense. Why don't you sing a song and again? Tell me what happened to me fair share when the money disappear. Ooh yeah, boy. Stuart Chipping question here. Bringing them to shout for me. I wanted to roll for me. I'm gonna be rocking down the complex. Yes, if they don't throw me king, boy, I do me like the doctor, placing their campus suicide bomber. Bringing them to shout for me. I wanted to roll for me. I'm gonna be mashing up the complex. Yes, if they don't throw me king, boy, I do it like the doctor, placing their campus suicide bomber. Boy, bringing them to shout for me. I wanted to roll for me. Anything you want, you go get. Boy, I'm mixing up the soca with some Hindi and some rumba, chutney and lavandera. I didn't know necessary. Boy, we calypso mercenary. Bringing them to shout for me. I wanted to roll for me. Maintain your impulso. Toro zombie and Peter. Boy, take it away. Airlines, see bridge and see taxi, bringing them to shout for me. I want them to roar for me. You don't know, you got to spend big money if you wanna win monarchy. I go got the diaspora. 420 in my corner, boy, share the life, boy. Press like, subscribe, sharing. All here the diaspora's king. Your king go be knocking down your airport, knocking down hospital walls, boy. Training geothermal. Let the Jewish people sing the song. These Hebrew boys don't understand. Begging them to load for me. I want them to roll for me. I'll be rocking down the complex. Yes, if they don't throw me king, do it like the doctor, president, campus, suicide bomber. Bringing them to shout for me. I want them to roll for me. Anything you want, you go get. Yes, I'm mixing up the soca with some Hindi and some rumba, chutney and lavandera. I didn't know necessary. Please calypso mercenary. Boy, bringing them to shout for me. I wanted to roll for me. Maintain el impulso. Toro zombie and Peter. Keep the momentum. Everybody is welcome. Thank you.
Papa Wheeler.
Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of On Target. And as usual, on a Saturday afternoon, I'm your host, Kelvin Daly, and in studio with me are the gentlemen to my right and to my left, the man Tula Weeks from up there in Hamilton, who just had a clean-up. I see him shaved and head clean and beard trimmed, so you got to be a hot day tonight.
No, he's going to church tomorrow.
With Mrs.
No, he's
Miss
going
Weeks.
to church tomorrow.
He's going to church.
He prepares for the worship with his Lord.
Well, he's been looking ragged for the last couple of months, so it got to be something special.
Maybe it's anniversary or something.
Something is happening. I got to call his daughter to find out what Tula's up to.
So you must tell these people that you can look after yourself. That's why the men are not doing as well as they should. Every time you dress well or you're groomed, Missy, they have to tell your wife. What kind of thing this?
I'm happy that he's noticing and he's checking up on me.
Thank you very much.
He's making sure that everything is going
Thank
okay.
you very much. Don't let Danny get between us. Don't ever let Danny, because he's a troublemaker.
Oh boy.
He is a troublemaker. I'm glad to see that for yourself.
Okay, you take a different. You have a different approach. Okay. You have a different approach.
There are different approaches.
Yes.
Some people see the glass half full, and some people see it half empty.
Yes.
So I'm looking at it half full right now.
All right.
We're having an echo, right?
Yeah, I'm wondering whether some of those microphones are on. Make sure they're off for me, because we're getting a serious feedback. Let me turn your mic down a bit. That helps a lot. We're not turning your mic down. So I'm hearing you good.
Okay, you hear me better now?
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Okay.
Put on your headset so
All right, so
you can hear me.
on this one.
Yes,
Good.
check. You hear me good?
No,
You not hearing me?
no,
No? Your mic is your dial up on this one?
yeah,
That's up?
stop.
Yes?
Not hearing.
Okay, check the other headset. Somehow these microphones are getting mixed up. So while Tula gets himself organized, and he wasn't hearing me, so, and I couldn't hear him. I was getting an echo. You hearing me now?
Okay, let's try this one.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Okay, the sound's good.
Wonderful. All right, we're back on track. We ain't as bad as Carlisle. All right, we have a lot to talk about today, but there's some things, housekeeping matters, we have to get to first. And let me say good afternoon to all those on the FM dial. And I'm told by our engineer that we are back on YouTube and on Twitch. For those persons who want to avail themselves of those platforms, hey, we are back up. We are back up, and I hope we stay up for the rest of the year at least. But let me say good afternoon to those on the FM dial, YouTube, Twitch, and of course on the Facebook feed. And let me pay special homage to those who made podium today. And first up from over there in St. James, Charlene Jeffers, first on the board, and Oral Joseph, second, Gigi Williams Keith, third, and my man Ivor Henry over there in Georgia. Good afternoon to you, Ivor. And up in Canada, with your trade war with Trump, Michelle Liebert is up there. And in Arizona, Oklahoma, I think it's Oklahoma, Christian King is in the house. And Ruby Walters is with us. So is Arlene Jeffers Stanford is with us. And in Virginia, IDF, Ingrid Daniel Farrell is in the house. And Cecile Hobson, she sends greetings and well wishes. Tonya Powell over there in Texas. That warrior from down there at Craddock Road, Brown Hill, wherever she says she's from. But now living in Texas, working for Amazon. She ain't sent me no gift from Amazon yet, so I still have her in my bad books. Anyway, we will get to that. Over there in Bath, como está muchacha? My good friend Iona Dore. And from Bath again, Chef Louis Jeffers is in the house. Actually, Chef Jeffers Louis is in the house. And who else we have? We have Olivia David is with us. So is Norma Jean. Norma Jean. I'm getting my French, and my French is getting better too. What do you think?
No, your French is getting better because you're practicing. Oh, the Spanish is already improved.
My Spanish is good.
Oh, good, guys.
All right. Don't go no further.
All right.
I wouldn't say if it's because you frequent certain places.
No, Catherine France.
I'm not going to get involved.
Catherine France is with us, and so is Joseph Brooks is with us. Jetty Taylor fell down the board. Oh my goodness, Jetty, what's going on with you, man? You were striving.
That's not the same person as Ian
No,
Big Papa.
No,
Okay.
no, this is Jetty, a very disgusting fellow from up there in Westbury.
Okay.
And Lynette Farrell, good afternoon to you, Lynette. And so we say good afternoon to Patrick the Man Globe Hanley, this universal gentleman. Lana Destiny, who is responsible for our father's transformation. She's in the house. Lionel Starboy Prentice is in the house with us, and so is one of the fastest men ever Nevis produced, Alvy Davis. Is in the house, and the beautiful lady, former classmate at CSS. You remember Jetzel?
No.
You don't remember Jetzel?
No.
Man, you're getting old. Jetzel Barton is with us.
Jetzel
And
Barton?
we're going to talk later. Pat Brooks and Stedvin Clark. Stedvin, I am not winning anything.
You are supporting.
I am fixed. You need to fix it so I win something.
No, you cannot fix.
Paul Pemberton, good afternoon to you. And Delicious Brown down there in St. Thomas is with us. And who else we have? We have Jean Doe and Randy Clark, Pearl Francis, who is always dancing the jig, Esther Tyson, Evelyn, and down there in St. Kitts, I haven't seen a sign on yet, but I know she's listening somewhere. Dolgia Doll Penny, and my good giant friend
That's
Bumpy.
the chief of staff in St. Kitts.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Bumpy Moving from down there on Hospital Road, Marcella B. Queely Jones is with us. And who else we have? We have Janet Grell Hall over there in Long Point or Low Ground, whichever one you want to choose. Who else we have? I think that's all we have. Oh, James Richards, I see that name. Good afternoon to you. Judy Cornelius Webb is in the house, and so is somebody else. I saw Carl Brister is in the house, and that man with the longest name on the show, Ian Nevis Big Papa Taylor.
Yes.
Ooh, that's a long name.
Yeah,
all right.
Big Papa.
Desmond Claxton is in the house, and so is, I think one more name I saw here just now. Tamaki, the man who grows the best tomatoes. His tomatoes ever stay green, they never get red. What kind of tomato is that, Tulu? Let me see how smart you are.
Green tomatoes.
No.
Winter.
Could only be green tomatoes.
Similar to Jeffers, Mrs. Mauricia Saran, good afternoon to you. And who else we have? I think that's it for now. As people sign on, we will, if we have time, we will say good afternoon to you. Let me say good afternoon to man Tulu. Tulu, what's up?
I think we had good afternoon already, right? Good afternoon, Dr. Daly. Good afternoon to our On Target family.
Okay.
A special good afternoon to Mr. Jamdong and the Monkey Man. I met Jamdong yesterday for the first time.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
had a lovely conversation. The Monkey Man made sure that he found him for me.
Okay, good.
And so, good
Well,
evening.
thank you for that. And we have Dr. Bartlett just signed on. So good afternoon, Doc. I hope you're not talking to dogs today. Miller Lawrence and Paula Wallace.
Come on.
Good afternoon, Hensley. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to all the listeners. And of course, I'm happy to be here on this forum for education and action.
Okay, wonderful. All right, let me say first and foremost that notice the 5th annual Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge Fishing Tournament
Oh, yeah.
will be held on April 21st down there at Sun Crab Hole at Newcastle. Newcastle Bay, right? Yes, Newcastle Bay. And you have $5,000 in prizes. Top prize is $2,000. So I guess the most fish or the biggest fish. I'm not certain how it goes, but it's always a wonderful event. It's a fundraiser for the people of St. James to ensure that Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge returns as your parliamentary representative. So go out on Easter Monday, April 21st, and make sure you support the event. Buy something, drink something, give something, make it a wonderful event as it is usually such a great success. But the more, the better. All right. As always, gratitude is a must, and I must thank my good friend Marvin Hanley for saluting me this morning. He salutes quite a bit of people, but today was my turn. And I do thank all those who chimed in to give their support and show their love for the work that I am doing in particular, and of course on Target, and wherever else I can fit in. So for all those who commented, all those who sent a like or a love or a smile, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Sometimes you feel lonely in this environment. You feel that you're not doing enough. But from the responses this morning, I was heartened and grateful and humbled to be regarded with such high esteem. So thank you for all those who commented and gave their blessings. Thank you much.
Let me say this to you up front, Dr. Daly.
Yes.
To every one person who criticizes you, there are 10 who is out there praising you and appreciating what you're doing. And so I have come to the point to understand. Don't pay a whole lot of attention to the one and the two who are criticizing you. You have a greater following than the conman from Nevis.
Thank you.
Okay? And people respect you tremendously. You may not hear them all, but there's a whole lot of people out there respect you, and they look forward to hearing from you because they understand, according to the report that I got from them, that Daly is speaking the truth. It might be hard, but
the truth
it's the truth.
The truth is always
and
hard.
the truth is hard. And so be encouraged, my brother. There's a lot of people out there listening and appreciating what you're doing.
Well, thank you very much for that. Let me say good afternoon to my good buddy Patterson Fleming, who just clocked on. Patty, good afternoon to you, and Kelston Swanston.
You're not describing Patterson?
All day, Daniel, we use your music every day, and every day
The mighty Wheeler.
I appreciate you. Every day I understand even more the depth of your lyrics.
Hell of a song, man.
It is a hell of a song. I thank you for your creativity, your genius, and your benevolence in allowing us to play that as our opening song every Saturday. Thank you, my brother. I hope God keeps blessing you with more wisdom and make your pen right across that page.
He's my number 2 Calypsonian. Number 1 is Short Shot for me. After Short Shot is Wheeler. I could listen to Short Shot and Wheeler all day long.
All right. Let me say good afternoon to my sister-in-law, my best sister-in-law, Sindrine Lewis Daly, who just clocked on. And we have also Gina Tyson. And she's saying good afternoon.
Hey, Jeanette.
Jeanette is in the house. Earl Mascall is in the house. And so is Laurie Wharton. So we got quite a crew today.
Yes.
Miller Lawrence and Desmond Claxton. All in the house today. All right. So we got a lot. We might have to run a little bit over time because we're now 25 past and we ain't started nothing yet.
Really?
Right? So today, the health tip today is, you see what I have in my hand here? Why do you always stick? Oh, Jesus, I'm stuck again. Every time I come in this place, I stick.
Your voice is not stuck.
I don't know why I keep sticking. And I brought my sample bottle to show. Oh, I'm not stuck. I'm just late. But, what I'm holding in my hand.
Not red rum.
No. What I'm holding in my hand is what I call a vitamin shot. It's about 3 ounces, if that much. And this one in particular, as you can tell from the color, is made with beets. So this has in beets, it has in ginger, it has in cucumber, it has in turmeric, and a little bit of cayenne.
You have a market?
No.
I'm just asking.
So this is what you should be taking as you wake in the morning, and you can blend it. Let me tell you something. The base ingredients are 3 base ingredients. 1,
Turmeric.
ginger. 2, turmeric, and cayenne.
Okay.
If you do not like cayenne for the reason, then then black pepper will suffice. But I prefer cayenne. All right?
Well,
That's at the base. And then on top of that base, you add whatever fruit or vegetable matter you want to add.
cucumber.
But you start with the base.
Base.
And then you add, and you can make your ginger as strong as you can take it. Your turmeric, be very careful with turmeric. Don't go beyond a peg, about an inch of turmeric. Fresh turmeric, that is. Because if you have low blood pressure, it will drop your pressure even lower. So if you are suffering from high blood pressure, the turmeric will drop your pressure nicely. When you combine that with cucumber and beets, it will drop your pressure even more. So there are natural remedies you can use to lower your pressure, turmeric being one of them. All right? But don't overdo it. You might drop your pressure too low.
They have the turmeric that is already processed and battled.
Yeah,
Could use a spoonful.
you could use a quarter teaspoon.
A quarter teaspoon.
You don't use too much of it.
Quarter teaspoon of turmeric.
All right? But lemon is also, sorry, I missed one. There's lemon juice in here too, half a lemon juice or lime juice, whichever one you have. You take this in the morning before you do anything else. Before you have your coffee or anything else, you take this down. 15, 20 minutes later, you can have your breakfast or your tea or your coffee. I have my tea after this, or just so it's over the same time. Sometimes I cheat. But what you want to do is to give your body a chance to absorb as much of this nutrient as possible. It is very, very high in vitamin C. And this is called a vitamin shot for a reason. And it is anti-diabetic. It's antioxidant, anti-inflammatory. It increases cognitive awareness and increased immune health. You cannot ask for anything better.
How much
that is
water?
So natural.
How much water you add?
Just use the juice from the whatever you're using. It should be enough. If you don't have enough fluid, then you add just enough to get it. And what you can do easily is to make enough to last a week and just bottle them out into 3-ounce bottles and just shut them down in the morning.
And only once a day.
Once a day.
Once a day.
3 ounces per day.
3 ounces. And that's all you need. 3 ounces. You can use whatever fruit you have in season. It's not limited to anything. You just work with the base and then add to whatever your heart's desire, whatever tastes good to you, and whatever you can sustain. So these vitamin shots go a long way, very long way, in getting your day started right. And that's all very, very important. You don't want to be dragging in the morning, and feeling that, you...
And it's cheaper, Kel, than going in the pharmacy or the supermarket to go buy vitamin supplements, right?
That's right. Very true.
And so it's in these days of tight money, that seems to be quite a cheap source of
very much so. Vitamin
okay.
so.
Okay.
All right. So that is your vitamin tip for today.
So
okay.
what do I do with my vitamin supplement that I'm already
Sure,
using?
It depends on what is in it. If you're talking about magnesium supplements, that's fine. Once it's not magnesium oxide or anything like that, which is not very good. But you should be able to get enough of your natural vitamins and minerals from the food you eat. Should. If you can't do that, then of course you move to the next best step, which is your supplements. All right? Now, I'll advise you once more. I know it's been a while, but if it's one food that you want to avoid at all costs, believe me when I say to you, if it's one food you want to avoid at all costs, are vegetable oils. Corn oil, soy oil, cottonseed oil, canola, all those. Canola is not the worst, but but coconut oil,
Good.
olive oil,
Good.
Don't get too wild. Stick to what you know.
Yeah.
That's what I do. Avoid those corn oils. They are terrible foods for you. And that's one of the reasons why I don't like eating out, because I know a lot of places use these cheaper oils.
Of course.
And I don't
for profiteering.
I don't want that stuff in my body. I work too hard to try to remain healthy, and I would not want to indulge in those things at all. All right, moving on. Now, gentlemen, there's a trade war on, and it has serious, serious consequences. for us here in St. Kitts and Nevis and in the wider Caribbean. Many of us erroneously believe that this war is limited to the US and Canada and Mexico and
China.
Believe me, this thing will be coming home to us very quickly, and it's going to hit us very hard. And I explain to you why. President Trump signed an executive order imposing global tariffs on the entire world. Here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, we got hit with 10%. So let us start there. 10%. We have a surplus. They sell us more than we sell them.
Oh, but huge deficit.
But we got caught up into this global tariff game. And what has now happened, what will happen, is that if those companies on St. Kitts, those manufacturing companies, those light manufacturing companies that make servos for electronics and all that kind of things, if their margins are already tight and they're hit with a 10% import or tariff from the US, it may make them, and it will make them less competitive. All right? You remember those companies came in here as part of the Reagan Economics, the Caribbean Basin Initiative, and it has been in existence for quite a while. But the president has now seen it fit to impose a 10% tariff on those goods. The end result might very well be that those companies decide, listen, we're going to move back to the States, we can't make a profit here, and therefore employment for those persons, the hundreds of persons who work in those industries in St. Kitts, will disappear overnight. It's a real possibility. The second part of it is even worse. And listen to me carefully. The US has imposed 34% import tariff on Chinese goods. We and the world are consumers of Chinese goods. So whether these goods are made in China, routed to the US and then down to us, we will get affected by those increased tariffs on Chinese-made goods. Secondly, the government of America has imposed a $1 million to $1.5 million tariff on every Chinese ship, cargo ship that enters U.S. ports. Those ships are the same ships that bring the goods that are made in China, that the world uses. All right? We are part of a global trade, all interconnected. And whatever happens between the US and China will affect us here in the Caribbean. Nobody will be left out. Jamaica, which exports bauxite, vegetables, leafy greens, and other things to the US, will be hit very hard. Everything that we import from the US mainland that is not made in the US, but transit through the US, will be hit hard. Clothing, electronics, furniture, apples from Canada that goes to the US, tomatoes from Israel that goes to the US. You name it. If you want meats, the largest producer of meats is probably Brazil. A lot of that meat ends up in the US and then down to us. Argentina also exports a lot of meat to the US, which finds its way to the Caribbean. So chances are, if you're eating beef or meat or poultry, chances are they may not have come from the US producers. They probably would have brought in and then sold to us here in the Caribbean. All of those will face new tariffs. It means those costs will be now transmitted to us in the Caribbean. So when you go to the groceries, things are already difficult as it is.
Without the tariffs.
Without the tariff. So imagine now having to consume products that have attracted high import duties in the States or high tariffs in the States. It will be transmitted to us. So what is the solution for us? What is our chance to come to this? What I suspect that Caribbean leaders, the CARICOM, will try to carve out through conversations with the State Department, with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, to carve out and say, listen, the Caribbean and CARICOM are net importers of U.S. products. Why are we being punished? Give us a break. I saw a release from the European Union saying, listen, you guys still qualify to enter your products into Europe tariff-free. You may have to now develop new trade routes into Europe to get our products sold. Products from Canada, they may have to now find a new route. Rather than going through America, they may have to find a new route to us in the Caribbean. The Chinese, they may have to now expand their footprint in Jamaica, where they have a major shipping port, to access the rest of the Caribbean. But whichever way it goes, because of the size of the market in the Caribbean, we will not be able to get the benefit of economies of scale. We are just too small. Right. All right? And so I'm just giving you the heads up. If you have something to buy it now and have it shipped before these tariffs.
If you have the money.
If you have the money. All right? So
the thing here, Kel, is that also there's another point. If the suppliers have to deal with inflation, which flows from the addition of the taxes, of the tariffs, then they're simply going to pass this on to the consumer. So what we have to understand is that if I buy milk now for $10 and then I have to pay 10% more on it, that is going to come down to the consumer. And you mentioned something about CARICOM. Maybe, very often it is, we see him often in CARICOM to respond a lot to crises, So we heard all this talk about 25 by 25, food security and so on. Maybe this is the time to make this thing real, because you just made the point. We are so small. We don't even matter. We are price takers from an economic standpoint. So we can't influence the price of nothing based on the value. So this is the time to get real with, when you say CARICOM, that agriculture and the other things that we can do. And then most importantly, is it that we need to have in the supermarkets 7 or 8 different brands? I see about 8 different brands of cornmeal and none of them is yellow. And I wonder if sometimes our consumption patterns have not gone outside of the realm of reasonableness and outside of the realm of our pockets. That might be something we have to consider as well.
Tulu, any comment on this?
As you're saying there, I've been figuring that out for a while. Whatever the tariffs are, it's going to affect us. Definitely the prices are going to go up. And from a biblical perspective, as I dare sit down listening to you, I am going through the book of Revelation in my mind. I'm going through there, and it already gave me an thumbs up as to these things are going to happen. And so we have to brace ourselves and prepare ourselves to face the harsh reality of things that are outside of our control. A long time ago, Miss Motley, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, appealed to all of our Caribbean governments to set up a new link and get away from the United States. I guess she saw something coming and forge relationship with Africa, and we did not take her on. Now we are seeing the reality of that. Would that change much what is taking place? Donald Trump has put on us. But it's something that should have been considered and not wait until our backs are against the wall when we recognize that they are coming against us and CBI is basically out of the window tonight to now trying to start to forge a path forward. It's a little bit too late, but let us see what happens. But the future for the world and for us in the Caribbean is very, very, very daunting.
It's going to be very challenging, but every door that closes, another one will open, and oftentimes, if you're smart enough, that door will swing even wider. And so every time there is an attempt to destroy somebody or destroy something, it opens up another opportunity. So it is a wake-up call, like you said, to the Caribbean leadership that we need to do more to boost our own local economies, our own local consumption, our own local production. It is something that we promised to do after each crisis.
Yeah.
We promised to do it after COVID.
Yeah.
That we were promising to be ready by 2025.
Yes.
25% of our imports will be substituted.
Yes.
We are now in 2025.
And what percentage?
And we are nowhere near 25%. So it tells us that every time there is a crisis, we react. But after the crisis passes, our demeanor changes back to one of dependence.
Yeah.
And that is a sad reflection, not on Donald Trump,
No.
but on us and our leadership in the Caribbean. When you look at the quantum of funds that we put aside to invest in agriculture, it has been
minimal.
dismal. And all governments have been guilty of this. All governments, because it's so much cheaper
To produce.
to call a supplier in Florida,
And tell them, sell us.
send down some produce,
Yeah.
than to invest in the kind of infrastructure and the kind of training here on the islands to make us more viable as economies. All right? I've said a long time ago, we must look at what is our strengths between St. Kitts and Nevis. St. Kitts has a different type of soil to Nevis. Let us see what crops are best grown on Nevis and what's are best grown in St. Kitts, and see how we can create a national strategy for agricultural development. Let us see. For grazing animals, St. Kitts has the land.
Right.
For peas, Nevis has an advantage. For peanuts, St. Kitts has an advantage. St. Kitts has an advantage in carrots.
Yes.
Because of the deepness of the soil and the sandy type of soil.
We have mangoes.
We have mangoes, we have a lot of fruits. Let us see how we can create a national strategy to deal with these crises.
But then, Kel, what is missing? In order for us to have this national strategy, we have to have all the people on board. So we have to...
And that's why it's called national.
Yeah, and that we have to put away the political tribalism and the partisanship, so that we only bring in those who we know or what have you. Everybody, this is a case now for all hands on deck, because if the country can't pay for all these, the easiest way to develop balance of payments problems is when you can't meet the cost of your exports.
When are we going to truly have all hands on deck? The Prime Minister initiated his crime-fighting mechanism, invited all on deck, he says. But who were at these forums and these councils? The Premier likes to talk about this is an all-inclusive matter, but then he snub and he kicked at the opposition on the island of Nevis. It's just recently we heard Alexis Jeffers on radio broadcast is saying, I want NRP to understand that this matter we're sharing with St. Kitts is a thing of the past. The CCM has no intention to connect. The issue of...
I didn't notice that.
The issue of geothermal conversation.
I'm
sorry about that.
I did every day. How you doing? I'm fine.
You go ahead, please.
The issue of geothermal conversation.
Let's take this call because it's really
okay, let me take it.
Good afternoon, you're on target.
Good afternoon to everybody.
Good afternoon, sir.
Let me show you. We're talking about agriculture and feeding ourselves. I work in the sugar. When the sugar ends, I want to end it. I work at Needmont. You see the bypass road, I don't think anyone of you was down here really had corner done.
Yes.
That field, when the sugar was going, they had that field with crops, with different things that them Astafan was in labor. They said they're going to ship tomato. They take it escape out in Needmont next to Ricardo, hardware, and make the place that people could have come and buy food to plant and to sell. You understand? The sugar club, they close everything. But a 14-acre ground, I work at it. The prison one then next to it. The training one next to it, and the training one going on. The prison one stop and this one stop. And they could have got food to feed hospital, different people, and sell. People and the other farmers, them, they start that. So they're going They separate you to tell them that you can't put all in one basket. But that them a do. That them a do. You understand? Some people don't know how they get food. You understand? Because maybe them that study about Kentucky and travel with and get a raise up there and all kind of nonsense and get a raise to when they're going to $400 and that's all. That's all they keep like a children. Not big people growing up. In the grass time, where the sugar go on, they used to get a field and all the names man coming up. Then I was coming up 20 years, 24 years. I see all them man there. They think it man them gone to England and America. They think they not the pay. And down your nearest man they don't walk wrong. And they don't got nobody look at them, they know. They don't got nobody look at them kind of man that they pass roll up, they know in the pocket, they burn cold and different things. See the family. You understand? They don't got nobody don't look at that. So you keep them up that food.
Thank you, sir. So let me finish. Sorry, Tulu.
No, you go ahead.
You see the issue. I remember when I was at the Agriculture Department, I think at the ministry, sorry, we worked on a land use policy.
Big time.
Big land use policy.
Yes.
Where lands were set aside for agriculture production. Whether it's animal farming, animal grazing, communal lands, whatever it was. Some of those lands that we set aside are now under housing under this government. Some of those lands that we set aside at Maddens are now under housing because the government has systematically refused to keep sacred those lands to make sure we have food.
Right.
And this is what bothers me so much times because they talk about food security and nutrition security. But they're doing everything to destroy the farming base on Nevis. All right? And so they have not diversified our economy at all. They pay lip service about agricultural sustainability and all that. It's nonsense. Because when you look at what money is apportioned, every time there's a budget, the money for agriculture does not increase.
You get less and less.
90% of agriculture's budget pays salaries and wages.
Yeah.
How are you going to grow a sector that is thriving, that is sustainable, when you have little or no residual money to do capital projects, even to do recurrent expenditure? How do you get it done?
And you see, Kel, you make the point that most of the money you allocate for agriculture is to pay your staff and so on. When was the last time we saw in Nevis say a 15, 20 acre lot of land was identified and prepared and say, look, this is for develop crop X, crop Y, because we have a problem. It cannot be, and it is showing up.
We announced the death of Eileen Liebert of Bansgut, Nevis. She died at the age of 90 years. This event took place on Thursday, 20th March. She is survived by 5 children: Carmen Lisbeth Irish, Hilarina Liebert, Livingston Livy Liebert, Judith Liebert, and Eustace Bash Liebert. Her adopted son.
Okay. No, I was saying, Kel, that is why it's so critical for us to take this thing seriously. This is not the time now for
EC Computer Institute, serving you with distinction since 1993. Located on Shiloh Baptist Road, Ramsbury Site, Nevis, we offer primary and secondary school children courses, basic, intermediate, advanced and university level adult courses, CSEC EDPM, CAPE Computer Science, and CSEC or CAPE Information Technology. You can become proficient in computer maintenance and repairs, QuickBooks accounting, computer.
On Target.
So I'm your host, Kelvin Daly, and I thank you for joining us once again.
Join the conversation.
I looked at it on Facebook and I read the speech and I'm trying to find out what is the...
We had a glitch there. I don't know what Jumbie is in this place here, but we finally got it sorted out. I apologize for all listeners. You weren't hearing, you were hearing by mistake. Something glitched happened here, and I do apologize for that.
No, I was saying,
Go ahead.
Kel, that we in the Caribbean, we can't just go along to get along. What we need to do is to have some priorities. If you're eating a lot of imported food, which is bad for us, it's showing up in the health, in the morbidity and mortality data. So clearly, agriculture has to take some priority. But I don't know. I just find that the time for talk is over, as you say.
Well, we also have another complaint, another real threat. 40% of our GDP comes from tourism. 40%. That's a hell of a lot.
Yeah, but you're spending money
Well, let me finish. If you got 40% of the GDP coming from tourism, and you have this global war, what will become of that industry? It will suffer badly. Mm-hmm. So you're not only getting hit by global tariffs on the reverse side, but you're also getting hit indirectly by our major foreign exchange earner, which is tourism. So listen, I can't underestimate or what do you call it, over-exaggerate the importance of having this conversation on a national level. I suspect that Dr. Drew, our Prime Minister, will have some kind of address soon enough to tell us what his plan is. Because, you see, we are set in June to reinstate the VAT. To reinstate the VAT back to 17%. I don't see that happening now. What? You can't do that. And in fact, they might even have to decide to drop it even lower for persons to be able to afford to live.
The sentiment is towards 10%,
Because if you're charging
sentiment in the community,
30+% on imported food, and then you're putting 10% VAT on top of that already, that's too much. That's way too much. But anyway, we continue.
I want to go back up to where you were before we had the issue. Because you're talking about agriculture and the resources that is placed into agriculture over the years.
Watch me.
Agriculture.
Good.
Eating food. Planting food. Agriculture.
All right.
Okay, let me use the official name to it.
Not agriculture.
Good. All right. Now, do you believe anybody in the Nevis Island administration truly understand this?
No. Unfortunately, no.
So then they do the things that they're doing because they do not have a clue. And the reason why I said that is that I remember the Premier making a whole lot of noise about this 25 by 25 reduction and how his administration gave people seeds and seedlings, and when I began to question 6 seeds and 4 seeds and that is going to change the dynamics for and they went all the way down to 2
plants.
2 plants.
Yeah. Plantlets.
Okay.
Seedlings.
Well, he saw that as this big jump and this big change in.
Well, here's a good time to jump into the the other segment.
Okay, let's go. Which
is agriculture.
All right.
It's strange enough we get into this.
Okay.
But did you guys go to the fair? I know you didn't go. But
I went both days. Both days. I grabbed the opportunity to buy some of the local produce.
I passed through on the Friday.
Okay. Did you see in the entire expanse of exhibits anything to do with the Indian Castle fruit and tree orchard?
No, I didn't see anything from down there.
No.
Nobody saw anything from down there.
No.
Because there was nothing from down there.
After all that investment?
Over $1 million+ spent. All kind of political grandstanding.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I have a quotation. When the farm was officially opened in 2021, August of 2021, this is what Minister Jeffers said, and I quote, "I invited the cabinet here because we are doing something that is revolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
This farm represents sustainability in agriculture, ensuring that we have food sustainability on the island. You were to laugh. If you go down there now, and I'm sorry I didn't have a video to show you.
You promised to take me to.
And I will. It is a total collapse. It is a fantastic collapse.
A colossal failure.
Colossal failure.
Okay.
What do you mean by that?
Banky left.
He was the man leading the charge.
About a year ago. Year and a half ago. And ever since Banky left, they put this gentleman, Mr. Reed, in charge. A very, 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 very close ally. Bosom buddy of the Minister of Agriculture. Inseparable. In charge. Well, you see, there's a difference between being in charge and being put in charge.
Wait on that for me.
He was put in charge.
But he's not in charge.
But he's not in charge. He was put in charge by Eric, the minister. But he's not in charge. Because if you were in charge, then you'll act as if you were in charge and have a strategic plan, short term, medium term, to increase food productivity from the farm. The sad thing for this is that there is a precedent that was set. No. The precedent was set by Banky. Mm-hmm. That food is capable of being produced down there. Oh, okay. He had cassava, he had melons, he had cantaloupe, he had soursop, passion fruit. These things came out of that endeavor.
Guava.
But the minister, in his wisdom, decided, I can't work. I can't continue the work. And so he put Steve in charge. Listen, Steve was a student of mine in sixth form. I have no issue with Steve personally. I have an issue with his professionalism. And I've always had a problem with his professionalism, even when he reported to me. Let's take this call. Good afternoon, on target.
Good afternoon. Just listening to your program, good program, as usual. You see, the problem we have in Nevis, and a lot of people don't seem to understand, there are too many square plugs in one. Square plug in one. And so, when you handpick people to do things that they don't know what they're doing, it always creates a setback for the country, not only for that particular thing, but for the whole country. There are a number of things that people, because of their political persuasion, are left aside. But at the same time, the whole country suffers. Now you have a situation, because I can attest to this. Banky was a man who really had put a lot of interest in that farm, a lot. And this government has a tendency to start something with not sort of planning. They just say, okay, this seems to be a good idea. Let's run with it. But they don't follow it up. So they start. There's so many things that I can sample out concerning this. They don't follow it up to say, well, make sure that it doesn't fail. And so the whole country suffers. Now, you are agriculturist, and you have certain information, sound information, right? But they're not going to call you up and say, why Bailey, help us out with this. Let me give you one example, if I may. Let's look at the poultry farm. When plan was ahead for the government to add the poultry farm, you said on this medium look, these are what will be necessary before the full farm could be implemented. You said it. And then they still went ahead and buy the poultry farm and have it there lying down, instead of people making money from the farm and producing food for the island. The thing is in a room, we the taxpayers have to be paying money for storage on the farm instead of making money. We have to be paying money on the farm. That is not good enough. And then to make it all, I understand that someone had come from Trinidad to oversee the farm, only to find the same thing that you were saying, that the farm is ready. All these are unnecessary spending. Get the people who have the know-how. Same thing with your summer. Get carriers involved. They have the know. The country belongs to us. Not the politicians, and I always keep saying so. The country belongs to us, not the politicians. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. No, I was saying, no, I have nothing personal against people. When Huey Sargent was put in charge of agriculture at the ministry, as PS, I met him personally and I told him, "But I like you, but this is not for you." It's like somebody offered me to be police commissioner. I can't take it because I don't know anything about policing. And I told him to his face, "I like you, but I cannot support you on this." And I'm saying to my brother Steve, his brother Flamingo grew up with us. I have no issue with his mother or his sister, beautiful people. But we must separate ourselves out and say, listen, this is bigger than any one of us. We are now talking about food security for the island of Nevis. We have to be serious about it. And if you're not performing, then find some place else to go. If you're not serious about your professionalism and your deliverables, find some place else to land. I'm not trying to deny you from a food to eat, but at least what I want to see happening is a return of productivity. And if it means cracking some heads, I'll crack some heads. It's simple as that. Let's take this call. Good afternoon, you're on target.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So where these people plan to just take all the money and just waste the money? So that's what they're doing. Down there is the first place, we see the plant cheese, and they just drive them here. About New River, you want some lime cheese, a set of lime cheese.
Yeah, I planted those.
Set of lime cheese, we have beautiful limes. When people go, they take up the drip to them and dig up the tree them. For them, we had a set of redwood cheese, cherry cheese. Drop the dry down. Coconut drop the dry down. What we do as a people, we sick. And we get beaten with a sickness and we got,
All right, thank you, sir. Okay,
Kel, you're speaking about picking horses for courses.
Yeah, somebody's calling here. Good afternoon, your target. Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. This man was talking about the land and the sugar and the agriculture.
Yes.
Then you leave Central Bank and come across the bypass road. It's about 100 and something acres of land they got out there. Some cane field was 20, some was 15, some was 10. You understand? All they know, then they know what world come on. If you holding up, nobody in your world come on. What means it can grow, we grow. Because we're brothers and sisters, we exchange food, help one another, and all we could be able to tell. When they work up in the school, if you see a woman, they look all of that job is now. It doesn't go back up. You understand? Because it's up that water table. It's up that water table, we don't plan food. We don't plan food. And we stop calling me, but I don't know what to say.
Thank you, sir.
I just wanted to follow up on the point you made earlier that, this is time for a national effort, national strategy where you determine what's best to do in Nevis. And just to say also, from a scientific point of view, was that area the best place to put an orchard?
It probably was not based on the type of crop. I'm getting feedback a little bit. Yeah. Let's take this call coming again. Good afternoon, you're on target.
Yeah, good afternoon. We hear talk about food fear. So if all the food come from within the body fear. When some of the food come out of Ramsey, and some come from Singets. After the penny come from Nevis. And Nevis was the food basket of the region. One source of the people, every week we see people down on the waterfront. I look out in the sea water. I look for about maybe I come from Dominica and St. Vincent. We could plan the same thing that we used to. So what happened to us? And lazy, we get lazy. Stupid, we stupid.
All right. I don't think it's either lazy or stupid. I think what has happened, a number of things has happened. We have a global issue with weather now. We used to be rain-fed. We no longer have that luxury of rain-fed. So we now have to turn to technology, which is drip. The problem we are having is the cost of water. We are using potable water to water crops. It is unsustainable. It is ridiculous. And so we needed a separate water system to deliver water to crops. And we at the ministry back in 2012 were developing a plan along with water department. George Morris can testify to it, to rehabilitate old wells and use those well water to irrigate crops in Cades Bay, Indian Castle, Potworks, and the river. Right? So the vision was there. The execution has not followed because we were booted out of office in 2013. All right? So we know what to do. The second issue, of course, is that we have no policy regarding monkey control. We had a policy. It was quite successful. And in 2013, once the government changed, they ended it. The city government ended the monkey control program.
They brought in another program.
They brought in what program?
The monkey banquet.
Monkey banquet.
The man say you feed them up in the hills and they go back.
Well, you see, what I need to tell people is that if you as a government are unwilling to invest the requisite funding into agriculture, you will not see any food being produced. The world's greatest economies, whether it's in Europe or in America or in Canada, the governments have an integral role in subsidizing agriculture because they recognize the importance of agriculture to the economy. But if a country that cannot feed itself will be held hostage, and you are seeing it now. We are now hostage to a global market that we had no cause in, all because we failed to invest and understand the implications of having enough food produced on island to sustain yourself. Let's take this call. Good afternoon, you're on target.
All right, so then we're not lazy. We're stupid. Because we have the programs, right? And we not implement them. Then we're stupid. We're stupid people. And it's time for us to use the brain. Because much as I hear say we're stupid, we are not. We got a brain. And we are sensible people, yes. The people who we got in charge are sick people. So we got to remove these sick people and put people who are in charge. Good afternoon.
The most funniest thing I saw about last year sometime, I was on a pier one early morning to collect a package from St. Kitts. And the boat came up. It was a sea hustler that overnighted in St. Kitts, leave St. Kitts at 6 and get to Nevis at 7. So I went to receive something from the boat. And on that boat, on Charlestown Pier, was several sacks of breadfruit.
Oh, yes.
Going down.
Going up?
No, coming from St.
Coming from St. Kitts? Breadfruit?
St. Paul's.
From St. Paul's?
Yes.
Okay, I rest my case.
No, before you go, because
I'm not going anywhere.
I want to take you back right at this segment where you started, because you started this segment by asking a question as to whether or not we saw anything at the agricultural fair that came from down the orchard. The answer basically was no.
Yeah.
you described what the orchard is like, and I got angry, and I'm still angry up to now. And so somebody needs to cool me down a little bit, my anger in this.
You want some hammer?
Maybe hammer might get me more angry.
No, that will cool you.
Because I could recall when the orchard started, one of the things that we heard from the Minister for Oversaw is that daily and NRP them stupid, they don't listen to plant cotton, and here plant food. So we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to prepare that.
Over a million.
Over a million to prepare it. Then we heard that over $1 million was spent on an expansion process, to which the Premier indicated it was not over $1 million, but so far 406,000 was paid to prepare the land, to expand this orchard. So now we know that well over $1 million, could be $2 million was spent. And you're saying to the people of Nevis that having spent all that money, the government has sat back and allowed this thing to run down to nothing, that it could not have produced anything that they could have used at our agriculture field, nothing to sell, nothing to make back a penny.
Phase 2, which you were talking about, got me sued. Phase 2 got me sued, so me ain't gonna comment on that. I've been told by the judge to stay clear of that until the matter is settled. So me ain't touching phase 2.
I am speaking to the people. Secondly, before we go, we are asking, because we're talking about agriculture. People must understand that you, I believe, is the greatest mind on the island right now when it comes to agriculture. And people need to understand that out of bad mind, because you are producing food where you are assisting the hospital and assisting the school. And the government, out of bad mind, took away those lands from you, gave them to other people. One that was producing food is now what? Producing, what is it, six grape that makes half a bottle of wine? Okay. And so rather than getting hundreds and hundreds of pounds of melon and squash and what's not to feed the people, the government said no. We prefer to have grapes that produce a half a bottle of wine.
Well, the idea was to hurt me. It didn't matter what they planted there, whether it was rocks or grapes. The idea was to get me off the land, and so to break my spirit. But that didn't work. But let me say this, all right? Phase 2 was a disaster. Is a disaster. Phase 2 of the Indian Castle Fruit and Tree Orchard. There has never been any further advancement of that project. They spent well over $406,000 to clear it. Friends of the man from Oversaw got the contract to clear it exclusively. Phase 1, where Banky worked, is now a total disaster. And the minister shows no interest in ensuring its revival. But you must also understand that, before all this with phase 1, the present minister visited down there once, visited the orchard once, has no interest in it. I don't know if he thinks that, he's hurting somebody. I don't know who he thinks he's hurting. But you cannot have a 35-acre block of investment that used to produce food, now producing nothing. It reflects badly not only on the minister, but the entire Department of Agriculture. And it moves me to the next area, which is the I'm going to switch this screen here a little bit, forgive me. Take a second. The engineer wanted to do something, but he don't want to be seen. So, so the point though is this: for too long, we've had a situation where that exists now at the Agriculture Department or Ministry of Agriculture, where since October of last year, they have been without a PS, a permanent secretary. I'm now hearing that the present PS at Public Works is supposed to be, not the PS of, what is this guy? What, yeah. PS Agriculture, PS of Public Works is supposed to know, not communications and work, sorry. Whatever his name is, I'm going to tell you his name after the show. But the present PS of communications and work is supposed to be now the new PS of Agriculture, so I'm hearing. Everybody but Randy Elliott is supposed to be PS, according to Eric. I don't know what sin Mr. Elliott would have committed against Mr. Evelyn. I don't know what transgression that Mr. Evelyn felt he was slighted by Mr. Elliott. But Mr. Elliott has a master's in agriculture. He's the most highly trained person up there. And yet he's been slighted by the minister for what he perceives as a sin by the mother of Mr. Elliott. Whatever argument you have with somebody's mother, leave the child out of it. All right? And so it's everybody but Randy Elliott. And this is why they're having the problems they're having down there at the fruit orchard, because the gentleman in question does not answer to the director. He answers to the minister. So nobody is holding anybody accountable for anything. The minister needs to put away the selfish, bad-minded, stinking attitude he has that targets the brightest and try to sacrifice him on the altar of stupidity. It is ridiculous. I am told that the matter reached as far as the Premier. To say to the Premier, we have a problem here at agriculture where we have no PS trained in agriculture, but because you have a minister, the minister of bad mind, who like to lift up his frock over your head and show everybody pink drawers. Because you have a minister like that, agriculture is being put on its knees to the point of embarrassment, where 35 acres at Indian Castle Fruit and Tree Orchard can't produce a pound of melon. Can't produce a pound of melon
After spending
in over a year and a half. Can't produce a bundle of sorrel in a year and a half. But the premier of this country is saying, my hands are off at the call of the minister. He himself, that premier there, does not want to see Rodney Elliott's son in that chair. I'm going to call it as it is. Because he's the son of Rodney Elliott, a woman, a self-made woman. He's the son of Rodney Elliott. So he don't want to see her son there because he could make that call. He appointed a minister of health with no training in health, no physical presence anywhere. Put her to be a minister of health. But you can't tell Eric, boy, sit your stupid self aside and let the boy take the chair. He's the right man for the job. Can't bring himself to do that because he himself don't want Randy Elliott to the chair.
Why? So what Rodney would have done?
Because he doesn't want to see poor people train advance. He don't want to see it.
But he was once poor.
No, he never poor. He born big. He born with riches. And so I'm saying to the people of Nevis, you have a government that is vicious and vindictive. That is why people are afraid to talk out.
So when they was slapped down on the beach.
Let's take this call. Good afternoon, you're on target.
Good afternoon. The same thing I was saying all the time. They have too much queer plug in round holes. The man is qualified the only thing that the man in question can do is to make the government look good and also to get the country go forward. That's what I'm saying. Put people in the rightful place that will make your government look good, irrespective of whatever they might be thinking. That's why the country are moving, and sometimes I will be angry, and I should be very angry. The man from Overbad, and he have a right to be angry because there's too much pressure on us in this man. We have to be bearing too much pressure because of the stupidity. I have to use the word, the stupidity of the government, the spitefulness that they have, the vindictiveness that they pursue is not good for the country. If a man is qualified for the job, give him the job. The only thing he's going to do is to make you look good. So for somebody who don't know what they might do, he's going to be set back because you're going to have conflict in there. Somebody comes in a higher position than Elliot, the fellow. He's going to have to be guiding the man over the top. But if you put him in there, he will guide from top, come down. It's as simple as that. Hire people who know the work and who can do the work so the country could go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, you're on target.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
This is my first time coming into the program.
Okay.
I am a Nibis and I am a citizen. And I'm a citizen and I'm a...
Talk a little louder, please. We're having a hard time hearing you.
Okay, let me just turn my upper down. I said I'm a Nibis and I'm a citizen and I'm a citizen and I'm a Nibis. And I always would have liked to get into a program that's hosted by Nevis Media. Now, first of all, I am in the New York area, and I've been listening what goes on in St. Kitts and little goes on me. But I'm in tune. First of all, I must say, I don't like the way governance is going on between the two islands state. It is absurd. And I am one. Let me introduce myself first. I am Winston Manning on the Nevis side, and I'm Winston Welcome on the St. Kitts side. I'm a fighter and a crusader for both islands, wherever it fits. So what is going on in the Federation? It is totally absurd. The people are not being treated with dignity. And dignity, we all born with it, but these leaders, these ministers, these representatives, they themselves, they consider themselves the elitist, and other people are animals or things. And I don't know where the strength has been deprived and how the strength is going to come back. But I consider both islands continue with these, and I will jump to the heavy word, the kleptocrats and the misfits. And why are you voting them in all the time? They are not better than you. People of Nevis and St. Kitts need to put themselves on the ballot as independent and have meaningful, diligent, due diligence. And I'm encouraging all who will be sitting down and making arguments. This should be done, that's done. Get up off your backside. It is easy. You are a citizen of the Federation. Go in the ballot. This doesn't have anything to do with doctors, lawyers, scholars. You are just for the fact you are a citizen. I am in the upcoming election, and I'm going in as an individual, independent, to represent the people. But I need more independence, both on Nevis and the federal side, and both on the local. So what happened to your people? I'm going to curse you guys, not in the name of bad, in the name of good. get up and jump in, flood the zone with independence to make a difference and kick out these people. They are not doing good.
Right, caller, yeah, we are limited for time, so if you can make a point, last point.
Okay, yes. The point I'm making, you are talking about the agricultural sector. That is the most needy, wanting, immediate need for the Federation. We have to get back to this self-subsistence and resilience.
Okay.
We cannot depend foreign because look at what's going on now. We are depending too much on foreign imports. And we got to invest into that. The leaders don't give a damn. So why can't you people, I am in, take this initial initiative? Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, sir.
I will get me.
All right.
Bye.
You know, Kel, every time you know, one of the things we do in social sciences and in human behavior, you always ask the question, and you try to put a dollar value to this. What's the cost of the department not having the kind of direction for a year or year and a half? What's the cost? What's the impact
There's
on
a
food
huge
groups?
cost to me.
You know? And maybe we need to always think in terms of the cost. Because, okay, I don't like Tulu or I hate him or what have you. But if I don't hire him, I am losing X amount of money, millions of dollars. Maybe we have to think in terms of the cost of actions, the cost of actions.
Good afternoon, you're on target.
Good afternoon again. You think all these neglect of all these government departments is just a mistake? No, no mistake, you know. They are willfully do it. And this is what we say to us as a people, you know. These fellas setting us up, you know. They're setting us up, Jed. They're giving away the land, so you can't plant the food. And you're not going to money to buy no food because they're waste the money. You're not getting the money. So their plan is to keep us hungry while the belly full. We go keep the eye on these fellows. We go kick these fellows out of India. But we are waiting for good afternoon.
Thank you, sir.
Kelly, you were saying there was a huge cost. You know?
There's a huge cost because, one, you lead to demoralize ministry and department. Okay. You have no leadership structure. Therefore, you have no accountability structure. If the PS, who is the chief financial officer and chief technical officer for the ministry, is not in place, then how do you create plans? How do you create policies? How do you effect policies? You really can't. So you are instead a ship adrift without a permanent secretary, because the permanent secretary answers directly to all things monetary, all spending of the ministry and the department.
It gives direction to the
right.
process.
So, having put in their crosses on this poor gentleman, Mr. Elliott, who has done nothing to them, but tried to do his job, you know. But because you and his mother got a fallout, all of a sudden, he's not good enough, and the premier needs to take direct responsibility for this. He cannot escape this. He cannot. He's Eric's boss. He's the head of government, of cabinet. But he's saying, "Oh, my hands are off. I can't deal with it." But let's take this call. Good afternoon, caller.
Yeah, good afternoon to you, gentlemen, man. How you guys doing?
Good, good. Make it quick. We got a lot of things to talk about.
Okay, well, let me just ask the people of Nevis to hold on that lands on the south side of the island there.
You bet.
The prime minister put out a trade deficit. He put out a figure in terms of the trade deficit, the amount of money that spent on the imports. But we didn't hear specifically about the food import bill.
Mm.
And let me just make a quick point here. One, when we come out of slavery, okay, let me reel back. Let me rewind a minute. During slavery, we were able to produce all of those crops for the slave masters, but we cannot do that for our own selves. We come out of slavery. We were able to get hold of those lands, and it's a shame to see how we are selling out the place. Our leaders are selling out the place. They don't have no integrity, and they're not representing the people that put them there. I would think that the current tribal leaders on both islands, they got a chain link fence, a chain link across the Narrows, and Basseterre is linked with Charlestown, and there is no opposition across the Narrows. You know what I mean? The sugarcane industry went out of business. All of those lands that they had control in St. Kitts for the sugarcane industry should have gone straight into producing crops, food for the people. Right now we see what's going on in the world. It's a battle of the visas, and when they restrict us in our own little space by taking them visa-free status, travel for England, Europe, and United States and Canada, then we will just be confined to our own space. The only thing that America got to do after that is cancel the boats them from coming to Miami, coming down to us, and then we will be confined in our own little space, and then we will starve. We got to get self-sufficient in agriculture and get up to speed in agriculture.
Right.
This is not a joke. Everybody knows. Even a 5-year-old in kindergarten knows that we got to eat. and we are waiting until too late. We are being reactive instead of proactive.
Yeah, okay.
We are seeing what's going on right now in the world. And if we don't get up to speed with the agriculture, well, we're just going to stop, man. That's it.
Thank you very much,
My
caller.
contribution, man. Thanks a lot.
All right. Okay. So we were talking about the malaise at the Ministry of Agriculture. Anyhow, we're moving on from that real quick because time is drawing really fast and we ain't beginning to dig yet. Oh, Jesus wept. Yeah. Anyway.
You're using an excavator today?
You know, we are going to have to do better. We're going to have to put our heads together in technology transfers, the real sustainable agriculture, and including mariculture or fishing industry. We're going to need to understand that we must control cost of production, cost of operations, if we are going to make a good go at it. But there are some basic fundamental things that we must put in place. One is a free alternate source of water for irrigation. Two, a control of the monkey population, which is preying on crops and destroying farmers' livelihoods. Three, regulations when it comes to the fisheries, so it's more sustainable.
Technology.
And of course, using as much technology transfers as possible to make food production viable.
Just one last thing. There was a time in the 80s and 90s and so every now and then you hear people have gone off for agriculture. Do you get the sense that that is happening in the department?
Well, I don't know what's the status now, but when I was there as a PS, I insisted that all extension officers must be university trained. Mm-hmm. And so in my short tenure from 2008 2013, we had 7 fully trained officers, all certified, agriculturalists.
Yeah.
So all of them were receiving.
Because it would seem to me that
training.
If you want to keep this thing rolling, you concurrently you have to be doing a serious training, looking at your skills gap and see where you want. You want marine, you want this.
Yeah, but it takes money.
Yeah, of course.
It takes a lot of money. It takes opening up lands that we have not opened up since my grandfather's time.
Okay.
Lands in the interior, up in the heights, where the temperature is cool, irrigation is not needed as much. Lands are fertile, being a volcanic soil.
Right.
This is where we used to produce food. But it has become locked away in bushes, lack of access. And if you're going to entice young farmers, you must have the kind of infrastructure that makes life easier. The days of donkey carts and donkey and mules is over. You must be able to drive a vehicle to your lot. You must be able to have power. You must have your utilities,
storage facilities,
and all that to make farming viable.
Those things are all a part of the vision of Dr. Daniel. Those roads go up into New River and way up into Hamilton. Those were put in there for exactly what you said, to open up those areas back again for agriculture. Then we reverse from that. But I'm coming to what you said you did, that the time you were permanent secretary that you sent people to train, at least 7 persons. You did that because your minister
was about a hectare.
And he knew
He's
agriculturist.
He got a bachelor's in agriculture.
Okay, and you knew agriculture, so you knew the importance of this. We have who came after you has not a clue what agriculture is all about.
Don't forget J.W. Parry. You know.
Okay.
J.W. Parry was an agriculturalist. Growing up, he would tell you how much pig he don't pull and how much sheep he don't mind.
So how many persons in this government who held the position of agriculture knows anything about agriculture?
Well, the bulk of the persons trained under me are still there, and they're willing to work.
They talk about the heads.
They're willing to work, but the problem is you have no support from the minister.
Okay.
And that's a critical thing.
If the minister don't know?
Right. Well, if the minister don't know or care to know, then you have a waste of time. Remember, the minister is the least trained agriculturalist ever on the island of Nevis, you know.
No, he was in agriculture long. He's supposed to be well trained.
I'm telling you, I offered him to send him to university at UWI, and he passed on the opportunity. Okay, I stopped there. Well, so while Randy Elliott was doing his master's, and Quincy Bart was doing his master's, and Floyd Leiber was doing his bachelor's, and Dwight Brown was doing his bachelor's, and Banky was doing his associates, and I mean, it's just a list of persons who availing themselves of the opportunity, and he refused.
And Eric said no?
He said no. He good.
And now he's the minister of agriculture?
He's now the minister. Go figure that one out.
To lead people where?
To hell. Anyway, moving on. I want you to listen to this as a refresher. Listen to this.
So I also want to speak about the sharing between St. Kitts and Nevis. The World Bank has sent its analysis, which is now with the FS, which will have discussions with the Nevis Island administration so that we can flesh out properly how we will set up the mechanism to make sure that the sharing of revenues, whether tax or non-tax, that is totally transparent and open so that there is no question as to who gets what is the unfair sharing, but there should be equity. Equity, of course, takes into account difference in population and so forth, but nonetheless, it is critically important that there is equity and that nobody is shut out. Neither St. Kitts as an island nor Nevis as an administration should be shut out of what should be a transparent way of sharing revenue. So I wanted to highlight.
Okay, that's Dr. Drew. Listen to this one.
Collaboration, fair share. I'm not sure how I forgot to mention that, but I can report that the federal government has made available the report from the World Bank. That report has now been made available to me, and that report therefore will be made available to the cabinet in Nevis for their evaluation of it. I was asked by the Honorable Prime Minister if I could hold on any public comments about it for now, because they're still going through their own evaluation on St. Kitts, and we have to do our evaluation here on Nevis. But I can state that the report is now in our hands. Remember...
I'll stop it there. Dr. Drew said back in March 6th to be exact, that he has receipt of the report from the World Bank, and he has passed it on to his financial secretary at the Ministry of Finance. Mark Brantley at his press conference last week said Dr. Drew finally passed the report to him. He has looked at it and he will disseminate it to his cabinet of ministers, not to the Ministry of Finance, not to the permanent secretary of finance, to the cabinet. To the cabinet. Gentlemen, this is not a political document. This is a highly technical document. I ask this all honestly to you two gentlemen and to those listening. Who in the NIA cabinet of ministers can fully appreciate and understand what this document is saying? Who there can decipher what this document is pertaining to? which is fair share. You remember these are the same ministers who screwed us with the VAT calculation and say we are paying too much VAT to St. Kitts and they're pulling out in 2014. These are the same kunumunus that has cost the NIA and the people of Nevis hundreds of millions of dollars since they broke the VAT agreement because they did not understand a simple formula. 74 for you, 26 for us. My God, how stupid can you be? The numbers are being published from VAT collections, from St. Kitts and from Nevis. How can you not do a simple calculation to know that you will be losing money, not gaining money? And yet, Mark Brantley, in all his wisdom, having receipt of the World Bank report, said, I'm going to give it to Spencer. I'm going to give it to Troy. I'm going to give it to the cabinet secretary. I'm going to give it to that little girl, what's her name? Nisbet. I'm going to give it to Zook. And all these fools, I'm going to give it to them. Because they know more than the permanent secretary in finance. They know more than the audit department. They know more than anybody else. Because they're bright. And so Drew is doing the right thing by giving the report to people who understand finances, people who understand fiscal policy, who understand audit, who understand and who know how to do economic research, who knows the census. And so, Mr. Brantley, if I was to advise you, because you say, I always cussing you and mean advising you, I'm advising you now. Set up a council. Convene a council, Mr. Brantley, of experts to advise you on this document. Because neither you, nor none of your cabinet colleagues, nor none of your advisors can fully appreciate what this document is saying. So do me that one favor. Listen to me for once in your life. Convene a council of experts, whether from local sources, which I prefer, or if you feel uncomfortable, bring them in from somewhere. Central Bank, CDB, wherever, to make sure you have the best advice as to what this document is saying. Otherwise, you will cock it up, just like you cocked up on the VAT. Hear me? Don't make that mistake, because we are all going to suck the salt from your mistake again. Gentlemen.
I would say, you know, Kel, these documents, you know, when you're at that level as a minister, you have to know what you don't know. At the central bank, Kel, there's a country economist for St. Kitts and Nevis. All of the islands have a country economist. And the statistician. And the people like in the budget director, the financial secretary. In my view, a team of 4 or 5 of those people. And then they then advise the cabinet. So you have somebody from the central bank. The CDB would send you somebody if you need to get a more in-depth or, for want of a more independent person. But you certainly need to go in there, Kel, with your budget director, your financial secretary, and your audit people to make sure that you see all the detail, you read all the information, because that's what these people do on a daily basis. You know, get the people who are into these things on a daily basis.
I've read World Bank reports.
Oh, I do that all the time.
They're not easy to read.
They're long.
They are not easy to read.
Not in special language.
They use economic language and terms. Yeah. They use formulas.
Yeah, big time.
They don't joke, because they are assuming that the recipients of this report are equally gifted in understanding these reports. So this ain't no junior pot and potato language.
So doctorate language.
This is doctorate language. This is financial language.
If you look at the people who read
so
the reports.
when Brantley talk about he has read the report, read what? Read what? He? Not he.
Maybe he read it, but
read where?
But he don't understand it. So you don't believe he read anything from it?
I don't believe he damn thing.
He look at the cover page.
He
and
look at the top page. He look at the acknowledgement. He look at the what do you call it now? The executive summary. And you look at the conclusion. That's it.
But Kel, what could be very, very bad for both St. Kitts and Nevis? If you fail to do a rigorous analysis of the report.
We're gonna lose.
And then secondly, all you do, you return now to the old and then St. Kitts, Nevis, and you rev up the emotive thing. And most importantly, we lose revenue. We lose. And if the VAT analysis is anything to go by, what would you recommend, Keith?
I recommend they don't give it to Spencer. I recommend they don't give it to Troy. I recommend they don't give it to Eric, especially Eric. Right? You saw the picture of him doing his nails the other day?
Also, you're in agriculture.
He's doing nails. Look at my nails. This boy getting more vulgar every time I see him. I look at the rank. He's getting more rank every time I see him.
You forced me to look for it and found it, and I.
So that is your recommendation for that. That is where we're going to.
But then you're offering advice to the Premier. You have been offering him advice since I came a part of this program, ever since that. And nothing got through to him. His response to all of the advice is, don't listen. You're cussing. You're making nice. And I read Solomon, and Solomon said, do not try to advise a fool. All the fool is going to do is turn and curse you. And this is the demonstration that we have from unfortunately, our Premier, that all of the advice, he could have been the most successful Premier that we've ever had, because he had such great foundation. He had everybody down to advise him.
Pause there for a minute, Tulu. Pause there for a moment. Did you see a Facebook post I put out there today?
No.
You need to go and see it, because the Premier paid. I'm certain he paid. Some newspaper called it Washington Times or some stupidness. He paid for what do you call it? It's an ad.
Yeah.
That he is the third best and most powerful and influential Caribbean leader. One of three. So he put Maya Motley and Gaston Brown and him the top three leaders in the Caribbean.
All I'm going to say to that, the person who wrote that article...
He wrote it.
Oh, he wrote it himself?
He wrote it himself.
Oh, he wrote it himself?
He wrote it, but he want to pretend somebody else wrote it.
He
wrote it himself. Well, who write it for you? That kind of garbage there. He got to write it himself. No self-respecting journalist going to write that kind of stupidness there.
Right.
If you are saying that based on the fact that you spent $800,000 to improve the Bad Springs, and that Dr. Drew and you signed a $37 million loan for geothermal exploration, that is your qualification to be the greatest leader in the CARICOM, the third greatest leader in the CARICOM. Well, the bar is set really low.
Solomon says also, a fool is taught to be wise when he keeps his mouth shut. And so, every time the Premier speaks, he says to me, as an individual who is unlearned and ignorant, that is a foolish individual. But I'm saying, having had the foundation set for him, the template set for him, and having had all of the resources that passed through his son, and having had the multitude of advice that was offered to him, if he had as much common sense as an ant, he could have been the most notable leader that we have ever had. Right now, everybody know that Mark Brantley is the worst leader anybody have ever seen across the world. And we will understand that he has been entrusted in St. Kitts and in Nevis, and in particular Nevis, with the most resources any other leader would have had. And he made an absolute mockery of himself. But then, Solomon also said, well, there's a proverb that says, do not praise yourself, let another praise you. I think it's Solomon who said that. So when the premier begin to praise himself, again it shows to us that again that he's a foolish individual. Because what? You're recognized by those of your peers. And those of your peers, even those who sit across the cabinet and look at him, every one of them from time to time would have said, listen, what an idiot we have leading us. And there wasn't him. But they seem as an absolute idiot.
Idiots, no idiots. No.
Idiots leading idiots.
Let me see. I wonder what happened to my girl, Chef Jefferson Lewis, today. She signed on, but me ain't see her since. She hasn't made one comment. I ain't seen nothing from Adele. What's going on? I just sign on and go gallivanting after that. I ain't seen nothing from all you.
They're digesting. They're taking in and digesting what has been offered.
All right, next clip. Listen to this. Oh, we got a call coming in international.
Maybe Chef Jefferson, maybe Chef Lewis.
Good afternoon, you're on target.
Yes, good afternoon, my brother.
Good afternoon.
Now, I'm looking at you. Yes, good afternoon. I'm looking at you three gentlemen. And you're all full of knowledge. You're all full of wisdom. You're all speaking facts. So, you all know that you all have an idiot premier, an idiot government, a puppy show. Okay? Why are you guys sitting down? What is the problem why you guys can't try to make a difference for your country, for your people, rather than to be talking? Let's do some action. Get rid of these people. You have something to contribute.
So hold on there. Hold on a second. Hold on a second, caller. So you're saying we have nothing to contribute because we're talking?
No. I'm not saying that.
But that's an interpretation because you're saying we need to get up and do something. We are working to educate people. You are, of course, educated by us. So,
educate for action.
You know, we are hoping that persons will be agitated enough to get out there and do something.
Let me reiterate. Please. I'm not saying you all don't have substance. You all full of substance. You all are educating me. You all are educating others. But apart from education, I need you all to be actionable. Jump on the ballot.
Go on the ballot? We represent the Nevis Reformation Party.
Been there, done that.
Okay.
So our party leader, Dr. Hodge, is on the ballot. J.D. Keynes is on the ballot. Dr. Bartlett is on the ballot. Rohan Isles is on the ballot. So we are doing our part to assist them in their success for the next election.
Okay. I like to hear that because if I don't know something, I need to know something. So you just have education.
Thank you.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
And I hope you all are strong. I hope you all will be strong today and stronger tomorrow, moving forward.
Thank you, my brother.
Because we just need a change straight across the board. Get rid of these misfits. Get rid of these recycled politicians. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
I need to hear other candidates, other parties. I mean, for me, I am impatient. I am after it.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. We have a program on Wednesday night, on Monday night, Your Voice with the NRP, and we have from 8:30 till 10 with Dr. Hodge and Dr. Bartlett and J.D. Keynes and Rohan Isles. So you can tune into that same station here at 8:30 Monday night. We have a program on Thursday evening on Tell Me with Carlisle Powell, myself, and Tulu from 8 to 10. And so we have quite a bit of programming that you will enjoy and participate with. And I enjoy that you're calling and feel confident that you will call again on those shows and give your support.
I will tell you a name because I grew up with him, Carlisle Powell.
Mm.
I am a Zion man. I am from Zion. Carlisle Powell is from Little.
Okay.
I look up to Carlisle as a man of integrity, a man who was an inspiration to me, and I was wondering, where does Carlisle Powell fall short?
But he's the chairman of St. Paul's Group, of the National Executive, so he's on his part.
I'm aware of all that. But he knows me. So, yes, you will have my support.
Thank you very much, sir.
All will have my support.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. All right.
And I will try to call again.
All right, thank you. All right. Okay, I played the tape already, right? Did I play the tape?
Yeah.
the previous press conference? No, I didn't play it.
No.
I want to listen to this.
Have we been paying our bill to Nevlec? The short answer is yes. But what we have done with Nevlec is we have an arrangement where we pay a fixed sum every month. So I think that sum, based on the last numbers I saw, is $500,000 a month that we pay. I will tell you that the NIA had significant arrears at Nevlec. Arrears running to tens of millions of dollars that we met. And so this is the first time that we've made an arrangement where every month we hope to be able to pay a fixed amount because Nevlec obviously needs some certainty in terms of its revenue. So I believe that amount is $500,000. And I think we're paying it because usually if it's late, Nevlec will call me. So they haven't called, so I assume that it's being paid.
It is never his fault. It's everybody's.
Nevlec is owed tens of millions, and it is an inherited debt that he met from NRP. Is there any time in this man's history, in this man's life, that he has taken responsibility for anything?
No.
Government is continuous. If you meet a bill there, right, of 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, whatever it is, each government inherits the load from the previous government.
Yes.
But you don't bellyache about it. You fix it.
But you paid.
You paid.
As
right?
usual.
So you don't make it worse by saying it's NRP fault and therefore you ain't gonna pay it because it's NRP fault. But hear the truth about Nevlec. All right? It's a Nevlec. He says his government, as he understands it, is paying his bill to Nevlec.
As he
understands it. Right? $500,000 a month. From what I saw in the estimates, what they consume from Nevlec averages between 0.9 million or 1.1 million per month. You're going to pay half of your bill.
So you pay half.
All right? You pay half. Well, how the hell are you going to catch up? If each month you're going to pay half, each successive month you're behind by a full million. Right now, this government here owes Nevlec $60+ million.
Wow.
$60+ million.
Which they met there?
He said he met money there. Man, they've been in power now, you know.
13.
Since 2013. 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so in 12 years, they were not able to clear off any deficits, any owing any bills to Nevlec. They weren't able to do it. Fine. They weren't able to do it. But they keep adding to it every year by $500,000 a month. Right? So they owe Nevlec now $60 million. Let's take this call and come back. Good afternoon. You're on target.
Hey, good afternoon, guys.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Daly, Mr. Daniel.
You're coming in low. You're normally more fiery and aggressive. Let me hear
Raise
that.
the voice.
A question I have to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Have there ever been in the Federation, both Sinkers and Nevis, where when you had an election, something happened like what happened in the last election, that you had more vote in the box that was there on paper? Did that ever happen before?
No.
This is the first time I'm seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time that happened, right?
Yep.
I think that's a big challenge, and that's my concern about the election, the next election coming up in Nevis, because I don't think system should have been allowed to get away with something like that. That election should have been null and void. It came from Mark himself mouth. He said he knew there was hiccup, but it was not enough to change the outcome of the election. That's what was found. We don't know about the rest that was not found. You understand? And that's my fear right now. If election is called again, even if NRP win by let's say 80 to 40%, they're gonna find a way to fix the election. You understand?
Yep.
This decision and this election should have never went through. It should have never been allowed. We had to call new elections. That election had to be void. You understand? And in our federation with what's happening with the Prime Minister and what's happening in Nevis, and he don't cares about it. I really don't know what to say, guys, to be honest. You know,
Right.
but we have to find a way to get that electoral reform system be cleaned up. You understand? And what happened when those Spanish people comes in to vote, we should not allow it to happen. You know, I don't want to incite violence, but there's a time when you got to make a stand. You hear? And if it comes down to that, you have to come down to that. But we should not let them vote if they come back here to vote again. We have to stop it. This foolishness that you go in and vote without an ID card and stuff like that don't happen nowhere else in the world. Why is it happening there?
Good question, caller. Thank you very much for that.
Okay.
All right.
Well, you know,
Don't go down the road there.
No, I'm not going down the road. So what I was asking you, it's so easy to say that the bill was left by the NRP. Well, the dialysis unit wasn't left by NRP. Where is it? I mean,
Biffy about it.
Biffy
about it.
I left a dialysis unit arrived when you're in government.
How much was it? How much you say it was?
$214,000 US dollars.
He met it there.
Yeah.
And killed it.
All right. Where is it today? And then what is worse is that you have persons who need the care. So that is a callous example of disregard for people and recklessness.
But hear this thing, Hensley. Forgive me, but I got another set of advice for the Premier. Free. I'm tired of hearing what the problem is.
Tell me the solution.
What are the possible solutions to your problem?
Exactly.
If you're paying $1 million a month, how do you start reducing that amount to make it more manageable, to bring it down to an affordable amount so that Nevlec is not disadvantaged, we don't face surcharges, and Nevlec doesn't have to go back again to Bank of Nevis to borrow to pay for fuel.
Mm-hmm.
This is outrageous.
Right.
This is outrageous. If he's saying he is paying Nevlec $500,000 and you generate $1 million, you've been generating $1 million in cost, you're not solving Nevlec's problem.
No.
You're adding to Nevlec's problem.
Compounding the problem.
Because the last instance, Nevlec had to go borrow $10 million, and the Bank of Nevis did not trust this government here to get the money. They sent it straight to Delta. That's as an indictment of this government here. But let's get back to the topic. What can the Premier do? What can the NIA do to reduce cost? Mm-hmm. All right? Now, he has not mentioned a single idea of cost control. I'm suggesting this, that the Premier set up, and not just set up, operationalize an Office of Energy Management. Mm-hmm. An Office of Energy Management. And this is a specialized department within the government, staffed by existing professionals in the government system. And these people or persons will have the capacity to do what you call energy audits of each department, each building, each office, each caboose, wherever the government has energy being used, whether it's for AC or lights or whatever, freezers, air conditioners, whatever the government uses power for. This office will be responsible to report to Cabinet on technologies or systems that can improve the efficiency,
waste,
and reduce waste. Right? If things like the hospital, for example, I will look at solar power. The hospital consumes a lot of power for the morgue, for the old people's home,
and it's
for the wards, and it's every day, every minute of the day.
It's continuous.
So I will look at a solar power there for that proper standalone. Get off the grid. Schools. These schools, especially Charlestown Secondary and Gingerland Secondary, can be used as teaching labs
Yes.
of how solar power is generated and how it's transmitted, how it's being used. These are teaching tools. Down at the primary schools, you can do the same thing. Kids are learners. All right? We are moving to the age of renewable energy. Why not start the ball rolling by trying to make these government units as energy sustainable as possible?
Kelly, I think you said sometime before you visited a school in Trinidad and you were able to see everything going technology wise and so on.
Yeah, of course.
So the children-
Down to the toilets was stainless steel.
Yeah.
You know, there were water meters out of touch. You know, the children had no way of turning on the water by themselves.
Less touch.
You put your hand on the fountain, the water came on.
Yeah.
You took a pee in the urinal, the camera sense you're not longer there, or the sensors, not the camera, sorry. The sensor sense you're not longer there and flush it for you.
Yeah.
That way, the children, you know how children waste water.
Yeah.
You don't have that capacity. When you leave a room, the lights go off automatically.
Right.
These are things that the energy, the office, what I call it here now, the Office of Energy Management, can advise the government on to invest. You can't expect a wholesale investment.
No.
Incremental. Look at those. Look at your energy audit to see where the most energy is being lost,
Right.
and how can we fix that one.
And then, Kel, somebody has to check to see. I think you mentioned waste. Check the fields in Nevis, which with the lights are on all hours of the night, even though long after people have gone on to play.
That will come under the same management.
Yes, I'm saying that to save energy.
So
I want to add
the Premier needs to focus on saving rather than blaming.
Yeah,
come on, man, you're a grown ass man. Stop acting like a child.
But then, if you don't expect a child to act like an adult, and we are still dealing with a child. You used to try to hide from your mom, and you say, "I didn't do it. If somebody else did it, why?" Because you don't want licks. You don't want to own up to it. That's what children does. Okay, he functions like a child. But there's another aspect to what you're saying here, Dr. Daly, because this government has been wasting a whole lot of money. Let us look at the Housing and Land Development Corporation. The Housing and Land Development Corporation is building houses to house people. They had an office complex that needed repairs. How many years now that that's closed and we pay rent? So now if they had knocked down the whole complex, rather they said we're not going to repair it, but knock it down and build it from scratch, I guarantee you that they would have saved more money than what they have paid for rent over these years.
Trying to put my partner out of bread.
I'm not trying to put nobody out of bread. And I'm saying, look at all of the office. Look at where the premier is.
Some people will get biscuit.
Look at where the premier is. Okay? When Joseph Parry came in as the premier of Nevis, he looked around and he realized that government was paying out a whole lot of money for rent. And he created spaces. I think Van Samwe did some of it too when Van Samwe and Malcolm commissioned Bath Hotel, the repairs to save money. Now Mark Brantley became the premier of Nevis. He is renting, because like every month he can go rent somebody else's place. And look at who he's renting from, and look at the connection between him. If he had built his complex, there was...
Don't worry.
Would have saved a whole lot of money.
Don't worry. NRP
will come in.
Will build a complex.
A massive complex.
For all administrative offices.
It was planned.
It'll be a one-stop shop.
Must be.
And so, look out for that. We don't know the spot.
Yes.
We don't got the money.
We don't have the...
We don't know the score. We don't know the score.
Moving on, gentlemen. We got two more things to cover before the 2 days done. And I don't want to be boring our listeners with too many... anyway.
All the gory details.
Yes.
I think a new show should be starting today too?
Yes.
Okay. New show starting right after us.
Oh.
Anyhow.
Politics.
I have two items, but I think I'll don't do one. I'll save the next one for another time, because we basically 10 minutes past. The Brantley's colony.
How it going?
Brantley's colony over there to the south of Nevis. I call it Brantley's Colony. Somebody told me, Lord, don't call it Brantley Colony. You just make him too vexed when he hear that. I'm going to put a big sign out there. I'm going to somebody to make a sign and mark on Brantley's Colony. Welcome to Brantley's Colony.
But you on that sign you may also have to put no locals allowed.
No locals, no dogs and locals. No dogs and locals allowed. Anyway, it has
passbook.
Gentle people. Some time ago, I started this episode about Brantley's Colony, and my initial understanding is that it would extend from Long Point to the flanks of Saddle Hill. I grossly underestimated the scope of the size of the colony. From Long Point to the flanks of Saddle Hill is about 1.5 acres, just about.
1.5
acres, miles. Sorry, 1.5 miles.
Oh, okay.
All right. Information came to me this week. My ain't started to talk numbers yet.
What? Of course not.
Apparently, the scope now runs from Long Point past Saddle Hill,
go right
around the island to as far right now. I don't want to go beyond what I have information for. To Fothergills, Hickmans, Simmonses, Bachelor Hall, Webbs.
All those estates.
All those now are in play. And from what information I've gotten, a lot of those estates have already passed hands to the new owners. What they're trying to do now is those people who own lands at Long Point, going over to the flanks of Saddle Hill, they're asking those persons, since you don't want to sell, we will exchange you 2-to-1. So if you own an acre at Long Point, they'll give you 2 at Fothergills.
Oh.
One guy told me he was offered 2.5. All right? So they have quietly.
But the Fothergills lands don't belong to government?
Some of them.
Oh.
Lands coming from the community center down to the sea belongs to government.
Okay.
But adjoining that, you have Hicks, you have Bachelor Hall coming down Matchman's End, you have Webbs, you have Simmons's.
There's a Maynard's.
Yeah, Maynard's. All that there is private. But they have succeeded in purchasing quite a bit, unbeknownst to us.
We are selling out ourselves?
They have been quite successful in purchasing quite a bit, because now they are offering persons up on the Saddle Hill, those on the bottom of Brown Hill, those over Low Ground and Long Point, they're offering to exchange you.
Down there for over here.
Down there for over there.
I see.
All right?
2 for 1.
2 for 1, 2.5 for 1. Depending on how hard you're bargaining. They have brought people here from the Isle of Man. They have brought people here from Barbados to hold meetings in Brantley's office, Daniel Brantley Associates office, with landowners of Nevis, pressuring them to sell their land. Right in that office in Charlestown, in Daniel Brantley. I'm afraid this is because it's true. And in that meeting was Mrs. Brantley, the gentleman, the white man who wants to build his colony, and an agent from Barbados who says she specializes in marketing, putting pressure on divisions wherever you are in the diaspora, calling you, emailing you, begging.
I heard some of those stories.
Pressure, real pressure to sell your lands. They want to control that whole contour, which now encompasses between 5 and 7 square miles of Nevis.
Special economic zone.
Nevis is 36 square miles. And these people want to control 1/6 to 1/5 of Nevis. So us black people now become visitors, strangers in our own land. This is what we have become. orchestrated by this government. The leadership of this government is part and parcel of this takeover, this sellout of Nevis. How can they live with themselves? How can they live with themselves? They took an oath of office to protect the interests, the best interests of the people of Nevis. And the premier himself, in his office down there, Daniel Brantley, is seating Nevisians in their conference room, pressuring them with all kind of sales tactics. You got people from all over the world calling. People from Europe are calling. People from the Isle of Man are calling. People from Barbados are calling. Sell us your land. We have big things for you. Some have sold.
This is mad.
Some have sold. Mm-hmm. Let's take this call. Good afternoon, on target.
Good afternoon. Why, Dale, you're scaring me. I am scared of what you are saying. I'm afraid of what you are saying. Soon, Nevis ain't going to have no Nevis. The Nevisians ain't going to have no Nevis. It seems like, based on what you're saying. It happens, it looks like it's the same case with the airport project. In that the rich people going to come and we, the poor ones in Nevis, going to succumb to them. We're going to be slaves in our own country. And it is sad. And so I don't know, the leadership of Nevis really needs changing. The man just don't care anything about the local people. He don't care. The man not care about Abbey. I mean, you're concerned about it. And people in Nevis must understand. He's not going to be there all the time. I think we need to wake up and protest and get going, man. We can't allow this man here to just come blindfold us, but then again, you talk about health, so we don't know what kind of driving forces behind the whole thing. Thank you.
All right. Now, Steve, the brother of Miguel, who just called here, is onto something.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, your brother be? Steve and Miguel ain't brothers? No?
No, I don't think so.
Cousins?
Go ahead.
I thought Steve and Miguel were brothers.
Steve Mills is from...
Steve Mills from Canada, you know.
I know. From Canada.
He lives in Canada, but he come...
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
You thinking no more than me because you're from Cox, no?
No.
I'm not Cox people too, you know.
There's another Steve Mills.
Well, you got the wrong Steve.
No, there are two Steve Mills.
Anyway.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. And Steve is saying this is why they are not doing anything at Indian Castle. They are allowing to run down because that is part of the block. Oh. I've said to you, let's take this call and I'll come back to the point. Good afternoon, Target.
Yeah, good afternoon. 6 miles. Alan.
6 square miles, eh?
Where's the things? You know, a little bit Alan, you know? So let me ask Nevis people this. Let me ask CCM and NRP support this. What we going to do? We're going to sit down and let this man create this atrocity. But no, this not got nothing to do with NRP, you know? This got to do with Nevis and both CCM and NRP supporters got to must join together. And with this man, with a twist up mind, because he got a twist up mind, you know? He got a twist up mind. He not like us. We say it every week. He not like Abby. You know, I don't got things to do with us. If you got a chance, your papa's in a 40-foot concrete and ship us out again, you know? Good afternoon.
All right. Now, there's another aspect that you must be aware of.
You were mentioning the...
I'll mention it now.
With Steve.
Yeah. Well, Steve was saying that's the reason why, and I agree with him, they're allowing the orchard to go down. Because the orchard is at Indian Castle. Next to Indian Castle going northwest is Stockpen. It's another government estate. Now, imagine this. The two pieces of intervening properties, the government owns them. Indian Castle, 250 acres. Stockpen, 138 acres. The government owns those. Those two are dead center in this whole attempt to control that whole corridor running from Long Point to Hickman's. All right? No developer is going to want to have.
Yeah, you want the whole hog.
They don't want the sandwich. They want the whole hog.
The whole hog.
So the question is a serious question. Is the government prepared to sell Indian Castle and Stockpen to make that block one contiguous block with no borders with anybody else? Is the government prepared to sell Indian Castle and Stockpen as part of this block to create this colony, this apartheid state? Is the government prepared to do it? The man who can make the decision is the premier. The lady who wants to make it happen is the premier's wife. What do you think will happen?
It will be sold.
Good afternoon, on target.
Let me say this to you, right? The boy that with a piece of mind, right? No doubt he will do it if he get the chance. The boy that with a piece of mind, right, got? No doubt he will do it if he get the chance tomorrow morning to do it. He got to get rid of that man. I'm saying to us as a people, that we rally together, arms in arms, and get rid of the boy with the piece of mind. To get rid of the man. Afternoon.
Thank you, sir. So, I pressed it wrong. So this is the situation. If these guys, if these developers, if these investors wanted to do a development over there on the southeast, they could say, listen, I want to buy 10 acres. I want to buy 20 acres. Do my little development, whatever it is. But they want the whole hog because they don't want black people in there. They don't want us a part of them. Imagine coming to a black country. We all grandparents and forefathers done bleed, beaten, children sold off to slavery.
400 years.
And we are going to allow this government here to reinstitute an apartheid state in Nevis, where black people can only go in there to clean dishes and cut grass? I must be mad. This is madness. I'm sorry to shout. I know Jim and Nisbet does worry about me.
No worry.
You know? But this is madness. That the leader of a country will be a part and parcel of this. Where does this man come from? What manner of evil is this? Good afternoon, on target.
Good afternoon. A question. Can the federal government do anything about this situation?
No.
What? The very last, huh?
We not lost yet. We got NRP coming, don't worry.
So, but then maybe by the time NRP get the things done.
NRP will get there sooner than you think.
You better believe.
Okay, well, let's hope so, because I am supporting a change that will come about 6 months ago, or even last year. We can't take no more of this thing, man. It's really, really heartening to know the way Nevis is going. And then I'm taking no advice. Let me tell you this, right? You have given this government so much advice that I always, and I said it sometime before, you all should be getting a stipend for directing the government affairs even from this medium. You all should be getting paid for that. These fellows here, they're laugh, and if you measure, there's nobody in the government who will say, boy, you don't think that this is overboard, you don't think that we're going too far. And you're supposed to have people in there who could tell them, boy, we only here apart from, well, we're going to mess up the whole of the stuff. Just for our own personal gain. It's not good enough, man. This thing not good enough. And save Mills is my baby brother.
Okay, there you go. Steve Mills is my baby brother.
Oh,
thank you.
Yes. I don't know him as Steve.
You don't know people like me.
No,
people.
no, I don't know him as Steve. Don't know stuff like
All right. Okay, folks, we have given you a lot to digest. I don't think I'm gonna burden you with any more today. It's now 26 past the hour of 3. We had the courtesy of, oh Lord, somebody's calling. Tuna said you gotta go home. Good afternoon, on Target.
Good afternoon, Dr. Daly.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Danielle and Tulu.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for taking my call. I know I'm late.
Yeah.
A quick one. Dr. Daly?
Yes, ma'am.
We've been paying attention to what's going on the top of Jessup's and Bansgut, including that whole wall.
The Great Wall of China, you mean?
And an international bank.
Yeah.
And it's like a whole community going on up there. Is that the first of what we're going to see happening in Nevis?
The takeover from within, yes.
The visions better wake up.
That's billionaire row up there now.
When you go up there, you can't see anything behind that wall. What is happening behind that wall?
But Carla, I'll tell you something. A whole house, a whole chateau was built behind there. Nobody saw it.
Yeah. It's frightening.
But these are the premier's friends. These are his friends. These are his dear friends.
Yeah, but Nevis is filled with people other than the premier.
Well,
so the visions can't allow this to happen.
The premier is facilitating all of what I'm saying to you. He facilitated the license to this gentleman, the Chinese gentleman who owns the iBank up there. He facilitated the billionaire Mr. Drahi because he wants Drahi's money for the airport. He's facilitating all his rich friends, and we keep saying he's not for us because he has demonstrated he's not for us.
Wow.
That's
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
For the information that you've outlaid for us.
Thank you very much. All right.
Okay.
All right, gentlemen.
So is this considered this finish here a high point or a low point?
Last call for the day. You got the caller?
Well, you know, really bad of it. The kind of life the man I live, right? He could have never, ever, ever lived a life there in his lifetime if he wasn't for us. And look how you treat us. So we said to us as a people, Jack, we don't stupid. We understand with a twist of mind they do. We're not stupid. We understand what you do. Let us join together in our stop and stop. We get the man. Let the man go with God. Good afternoon.
All right. To do that, we need some help from CCM.
People.
We need some help from CCM supporters. This is bigger than CCM. This is bigger than NRP. This is our future we're talking about. The future of our children and grandchildren to come. All right. I used to roam those cliff sides, across Long Point, looking, picking wilks.
You?
Picking wilks.
You did?
Yeah. All around to Indian Castle. Picking wilks. Whose one is that? Mine?
The watch.
Oh, watch. Whose watch is it?
Oh, sorry.
All right. And so when you have that much of your country shut off, and the thing that bothers me, gentlemen, it really gets me angry, is who is involved. Who it is that is involved.
One family?
No, there is something to be said about the mentality, Kel, of somebody who does this, who facilitates, anybody who facilitates the development of enclaves in a small country. You made a point earlier, Kel, and I think you could finish on this. Why is it that we have to, the place is small, 36 square miles. So why is it to facilitate the development you have to take 200 acres, 300 acres, and so on? In St. Kitts, there's a similar problem at
Frigate Bay.
Christopher Harbour.
Oh, it's Christopher Harbour. Yes.
Yeah, where people is 6% of the country. I mean,
under lockdown.
Under lockdown. Now, this must stop, and this is not good for anybody. We have to tell our children. I think the adults in Nevis have a question to answer, you know. When the history of Nevis is written, and the children who are now what? Say high school children, and they grow up 5 years from now and realize, boy, I can't go down webs, I can't go this place. What do we say to them?
Sorry.
That we were there and we stand up and watch it happen? Sorry?
It happened in South Africa. And now,
yeah, and then what? We repeat it?
That is what Marcus Garvey says. People who do not know the history or ignore the history are bound to repeat it. And the Premier has done a marvelous job in hiding the history of Nevis from the people of Nevis to make them believe that the only thing that matters in Nevis is what the Premier says and does.
All right.
And so we'll suffer.
No, we won't.
Folks, I do thank you all for staying the course. It was a long day. It was now 32 minutes past.
No, you had your full 2 hours. You said 20. So you get the full 2 hours.
All right, so I do apologize for the late ending, but we had to get this out. And I hope each and one of us will be mentors for the truth, and that we will continue to disseminate the information as we get it. There's a lot more to be said, but next week we're going to continue the fight for Nevis, and I'll quote it as that, the fight for Nevis.
Sorry, Kel, just to say this finally. When we were in government, you remember the company that took 600 acres of land that the previous government gave them 600 acres.
Did nothing.
I remember we were in cabinet and we met with the gentleman. You know what he argued? That because he got the land at what you call
minimal price.
Yeah, he said it's because the deal was that you bought 600 acres, so you buy it in bulk, and so the unit cost per acre. For instance, just to show you how the recklessness of this government, 95 acres of the land above the 1,000-foot contour, we had to take the land back. Take the land back. The Nevis Island government, led by Premier Parry, took back the land, took back 72 acres of the land. A Jamaican fellow said to me, boy, all you do something I never hear about. All over the Caribbean I hear governments give land to people, but none come back. And I'm saying that to say, Kel, that just as you say, the NRP is coming to government soon. And so, all of those things, we saved Nevis then 172 acres of land. Because you know something, and I end with this finally. If Kels buys a car from me and I'm not satisfied with the car, he can take up the car and go along. But I just want to remind people in Nevis, not a soul could take up the land and go anywhere with it. The land will stay here.
Yeah, but the ownership will not.
The ownership.
The
ownership.
Anyhow, folks, thank you for listening again. And if Danny has another last thing.
No, I don't have any more.
He's gonna have to say it till next week.
He's gonna have to be the last to leave.
Because Tula said he got a date. That's why he's looking so sharp.
It's church.
It's not church.
It gotta be church. If he's not church.
The man's a married man. What is wrong with you? Nothing for the man?
No, but I am telling you the kind of things where he normally.
Anyway, Tula, go enjoy your date with Mrs. Weeks.
Oh.
Mrs. Weeks, take care of my brother.
All right.
Don't treat him too badly. Don't rough him up too much. And we'll see you guys next week. Saturday, same time, same station, God willing. Have a great rest of the weekend. Be out of here.